Hello, welcome to Platinum Wholesale. My name is Libby, and today we are going to be discussing how to cross-list listed inventory from eBay to other platforms such as Poshmark and Mercari.com. So, to start doing this, you are going to be using a program. It's actually an extension called List Perfectly. Now, in order to use this extension, you have to be using the Google Chrome browser. So, this is something we'll be going over at a later time, how to exactly do this, but I'm just going to go ahead and show you where it's located, how to sort of get started with that. It's called listperfectly.com, but again, we're not going to be going over that specifically at this time, but just know that in order to do this process that we are about to cover, it is, as you can see, an extension located right here on the Google Chrome browser. So, to start, we're going to take ourselves to ebay.com, and you're going to want to log in to your eBay account, which we will be sharing that information with you so that you can access our information and inventory from here. So once you are at eBay and you are logged in, you're going to come to the top right corner of the screen and click My eBay right there. And once that loads up, you're going to come right here to this tab titled Listings, and you're going to click the Listings tab. And that is going to take you to the page that shows you all of our active and live listings on eBay at the present time. So before I start going over how exactly you're going to do the cross-listing process, there are a couple things we need to cover. The first being what we can cross-list to Mercari and Poshmark. Now, Mercari is pretty straightforward. The only thing thus far that we have found we are unable to list to Mercari is, unfortunately, one of our best-selling items. It is a slew of Sport Championship replica rings, and we are not able to list these on Mercari because they are replicas, which is very unfortunate because they sell very well and they are a bulk of our profit, but unfortunately we are not allowed to list those on here. So keep that in mind because there are a lot of rings in our inventory, but none of them can go to Mercari. They can, however, go to Poshmark. We can list just about everything else on Mercari. However, Poshmark has some more restrictions on it. The only thing we are allowed to list and sell on Poshmark is clothes and accessories, so like belts and jewelry and things of that nature, as well as home goods. So we can't sell anything like any electronics, no toys or games, no perfume or cologne, nothing like that. Strictly clothes, accessories, and home goods can be sold on Poshmark. Another thing we need to cover is that we are going to be doing the cross-listing from eBay to Mercari and Poshmark, not taking anything already listed on Mercari and Poshmark and cross-listing onto eBay itself. Because if we were to do this, we'd be missing a lot of information on eBay that we'd have to go back in and add manually, which kind of defeats the purpose of this cross-listing software that generally saves us a lot of time. So for that reason, we are strictly going to be coming to eBay to take eBay listed items to put on other platforms. Alright, so we're going to dive right into the rest of it. I'm going to use this Bardenshire Villa outdoor water fountain as an example today, as it is, it's technically a home good, so it can be listed on both Mercari and Poshmark. So when you want to go to cross-list an item, the first thing you're going to want to do is find the item you want to cross-list, and you are going to click Copy To. And it's going to give you all these options here, and you are going to start with Mercari, or you can start with Poshmark, it doesn't really matter, but today, for learning purposes, we're going to start with Mercari, and click Proceed. Now this portion of it does the same thing with Poshmark. It takes its sweet time typically. Oh, that actually went relatively quickly. It usually takes a long while for it to redirect to the Mercari page. Sometimes it takes a while to load all the information. Just generally don't touch or click anything until it's all loaded up, just like it's finally done here for us today. So as you can see, it's taken all the pictures that were previously listed on the eBay listing and done a nice little job of bringing them over here for us. Now there are some little things that we have to go in and revise on Mercari and Poshmark, as the formatting for these listings vary from the way that we do listings on eBay. So generally the pictures are okay, but we're going to scroll down and you're going to see the first thing that we're going to have to go in and revise is the title. This is because on Mercari and Poshmark we are given a lot. It's about half, actually, about half the available characters that we can use in the title as we can on eBay. So when we are cutting down the title, we want to include keywords that are most important to the listing itself. So generally I would say include the brand name, but because this is a really long brand name and through some experimenting earlier, I realized we can't really fit it for this particular listing. And also if you scroll down, here you'll see that we enter the brand name anyway. Later, we are going to delete the brand name. So we are left with new item, the title of the item, as well as the item number, the style number. I would say this is a very important part to have in the listing. And we're going to type water fountain. We're going to get rid of indoor and just simplify the title down to new the villa, style number, water fountain. And this generally is fine because, as you can see when you come down to the description here, it has the full original eBay title first thing in the description. So the next thing that we're going to want to go in and revise here is the description itself, because just like the title, we are given significantly less characters to work with in our description box on Mercari and Poshmark than we are on eBay. So generally, we want to keep the most straightforward, important information. This information right here is sort of the sitch, I would say, that would grab a customer to want to purchase this item. But if you scroll down here, you see that because of the character count, it cuts out some important information here. So we don't want anything at the end of this description box to be cut off or like obstructed or anything like that. So we're just going to go ahead and delete this and leave it where it's at. Straightforward, full sentence for the customer to view. So the next thing we're going to do is click category. And thankfully, Mercari gives you suggested categories that won't automatically bring up the right category for you when it does this, but as you can see, these are the first suggested categories. And home decor is just where we want this item to go. So we're going to click that. The brand name is the next thing we're going to want to enter. And if you ever forget, it's, again, right here in the description. The brand name for this item is Bardenshire. So we're going to type that in. Oh, didn't want to do that for me. I'm going to try that again. Alright. Oh, it's just not working for me. Alright, I had to fool around with that for a minute, not sure why it was being bizarre. But as you can see, we've typed in Bardenshire for the brand name. And then we're going to come down here, and the next thing we're going to worry about is the condition of the item. So, this item, while it is a new item, we did have to take it out of the original packaging in order to inspect it, take pictures of it, and it also is not an item with a tag. So while the item is new, we unfortunately have to just say it's like new because it is in an opened package, or we did take it out of its original packaging, and there are of course no tags on it. However, if it's an item that does have tags, you will know, because in the pictures that we provide for each inventory item, we take pictures of said tag if it is applicable. So we will have a close-up picture of the tag itself and showcasing that it is in fact attached to the item. So we're going to click like new for this particular item. As you can see here, you have your different options. So just based on the condition of the item, you can kind of put 2 and 2 together here and see where it needs to go. So the next thing we're going to worry about is the zip code, and we are based in Wheelersburg, Ohio. So the zip code will not change from item to item. It is always going to be 45694. So that will never change. Now we're going to worry about shipping. So we do offer free shipping. So we're going to click yes. And you're always going to want to click ship your own because we arrange our own shipping labels here at our base location. So we're going to click ship your own and save. Now, this next part is very important. So we're going to worry about the pricing of the item specifically for Mercari and Poshmark now, because this is not going to be the same price that is available on eBay. So in order to calculate the price that we are going to use for Mercari and Poshmark, you are going to take the sale price of the item on eBay, which will be the lowest price that we have for the item, and you're going to use that as a starting point, and from there you are going to add about 10% of that starting point price to calculate your final price for Mercari and Poshmark. Now if that sounded like a lot, I'm about to go over it with you. So we're going to go back to eBay, and we're going to click on the item that we are currently cross-listing. And as you can see, the price says $285. However, this is not the sale price. This is the original price that we have listed on our eBay listing before we apply the sale to it. So, in order to calculate our sales price is dependent upon the category that the item is in on eBay. If the item is listed in the category of apparel, shoes, purses or handbags, all of those items, you're going to take the original price and multiply it by 0.5. So again, if it is an item in apparel, a pair of shoes, a purse, or a handbag, you're going to take this price you see here in the price section and multiply it by 0.5. However, this does not apply to our championship sports rings because we have our own individual category for that in itself. Every other category aside from apparel, shoes, purses, and handbags will be multiplied by 0.62 in order to calculate the sales price. So as you can see, this is not apparel, it's not a shoe, it's not a purse or a handbag, so we are going to take this price and we're going to multiply it by 0.62. So 285 multiplied by 0.62. And as you can see, that gives us a total of 176.7, and that is our sales price. So this is our starting point for the price that we will use on Mercari and Poshmark. However, now we are going to add an additional 10% of this price to get our final price. So using our starting point price, we're going to multiply it by 0.1. Oh, not just 1, 0.1. Excuse me. As that is 10%. So this is 10% of our starting point price. So we are going to add this to our starting point price of 176.7. And that gives us a total of 194.37. Now, no matter what number you get, no matter where the decimal, the last two digits lay, you are always going to round up to a whole number. You're always going to round up, no matter how low this point is. This is also because we cannot have decimals on our prices for Mercari and Poshmark. It has to be a whole number. So always round up. So we are going to round this up to 195, and that is going to be our price for Mercari and Poshmark for this particular water fountain. And just like that, you are done on Mercari. I would click list, but we have already cross-listed this item. So we're just going to pretend like I clicked list here today, and it would redirect you to the listing page and show you how beautiful your listing you just created was, but we're just going to pretend there because it is already cross-listed on Mercari at this moment. So we're going to exit this. So once you finish listing, cross-listing to Mercari, you're going to come back here to your listing tab where it shows you all of our inventory, and you're going to do the same thing on Poshmark. So you're going to come back to this item and you're going to click copy to. You're just going to click Poshmark this time and proceed. And again, sometimes this takes upsettingly long, but just don't click anything and it should get you there. There we go. Beautiful. Okay. So, if you scroll down, you'll see that the first thing we're going to have to revise is just like on Mercari, and that's going to be the title. I believe actually that Poshmark gives you more characters to work with than Mercari does. However, it is still less than eBay. So we're going to eliminate this. Type in, it looks like we'll have enough characters to include the brand name in the title still. Awesome. So we're just going to simplify it down to the most important words. And again, just like before, you have the original full title first thing in the description box. Now, while we have more characters to work with in the title on Poshmark than Mercari, we have less to work with in the description. So this kind of, you really got to narrow it down to what is right there in front of you. So we're just going to leave it here at that. Again, we don't want anything to be cut off or an incomplete sentence, and that just showcases that we didn't revise our listing. It would confuse customers, so we just want to make it pretty straightforward and make sure that nothing's spontaneously cut off at the end of the description box. Of course, obviously, this may not be the most important information for the specific item, so it's always important to check and see what might be ideal to have in this description as opposed to just this random few sets of sentences. So we're going to come back here and click on this listing on eBay. And we're going to scroll down to see what our original description was. So as you can see, we have a nice, pretty little description here that gives you a lot of information to go off of. And one could argue that some of this is more important than this original first few sentences. I would say either this or this. If all of this can fit in that description box, that is what I would recommend to use. However, it may not all fit. It sure does. Look at that. Perfect. So that gives them plenty of information to know exactly what they're going to be purchasing from this website. And there's nothing cut off at the end. It fits very nicely. It's very straightforward and to the point. So we're just going to leave it like that. Alright, so now you're going to move on to category. It gives you a few options to work with here. Women, men, kids, home. Because again, this is pretty much all you can sell on here. This is a home item. And you're going to see which category is most fitting for this water fountain. I would say it's most applicable to a home accent. And you're going to have a subcategory most of the time. It's optional. I would recommend. We will pretty much always be having a subcategory unless it's for some reason completely inapplicable. And you'll see which one fits best for the subcategory as well. Unfortunately, it doesn't seem they have a fountain category or a garden category, so it's not a vase, it's not a lantern, it's none of that stuff, so I'm going to say it's most applicable to decor. So it's a home decor accent. It is a single item for the quantity. Most likely will be. Now, size is usually more important if it's something like a clothing item or an accessory, but because this is a water fountain, it just comes in one size, so you're going to click the standard size. However, it's very important to fill out this particular part right here, especially if it is a designated size. It's pretty straightforward reasoning on that. If it's a shirt, make sure you have the size of the shirt. If it's a ring, pretty much all of our championship rings are going to be size 11, so you're going to want to have the ring size in there, things of that nature. This is a very important field to specify. And then you're going to see if this item has tags. Now, like we went over with Mercari, if it does have tags, we will have that pictured for you, but this item does not have tags attached to it, so we're going to click no. You're going to fill out the brand name, same as before. It's very similar to Mercari, everything we're doing right now. So it's Bardenshire, which it has conveniently put in there for us. And then you're going to optionally put the color in. It gives you sort of a color scheme to work with here. However, you scroll up. I feel like it's a bit arguable what you could say this color really was. So you could say it was green, but I wouldn't say, as this is a optional section, that we're going to really add a color for this particular item. However, if it's a shirt or something like that, like it's pretty straightforward to put a color in here. Pink shirt, put pink. Especially for our rings, our championship rings, those are going to be gold or silver, so you're going to want to include that in the color as well. Gold, silver. Pretty straightforward. And then pricing. Same thing as Mercari. You're going to calculate it in the same exact way. 0 times the original price on eBay. Again, just to reiterate, by 0.5, it's an apparel or jewelry, or accessory, handbag or purse, anything like that. Anything else, though, again, times 0.62. But we've already done that. So we're just going to take the old price that we used for Mercari, which is rounded up to $195. But we're going to put that in the listing price. Now the original price for the item, because this is a luxury item fountain, we actually already have the retail price included here in the title. Now this item originally goes for $385. Sometimes you will have to look and find that yourself, but it should typically be available for you. Did I see 385 or 325? 385, okay. So the original price is $385, and voila, you are done with your Poshmark listing. Now again, I would click next and click complete listing, but again, it has already been listed onto Poshmark as well. So that is all you have to do to cross-list to Mercari and Poshmark. We'll just pretend like I clicked list. So for the actual cross-listing process, that is all that you have to do. However, there's another important process in our business that I need to cover as well today, and that is, unfortunately, Mercari and Poshmark does not allow us to include a quantity that is higher than 1 for an inventory listing item. So a lot of the time we have more than 1 of an item, but we can only have that quantity on eBay and not Mercari and Poshmark. So the last thing that we want to happen is for something to sell on either eBay, Mercari, and Poshmark, and it be the only item left. It does not take these items off for us. So we have to manually go in as we sell our items and update the quantities, because unfortunately this program does not do that for us. I'm just going to pop in here and make sure this is still recording. It is. Okay. So we're just going to... Alright, so in order to do this, I'm going to give you an example. So we're going to head over to Mercari real quickly. We're going to go to My Listings. It's over here in the top right. Once you've logged in, of course, which we will also provide that login information to you, you're going to click My Listings. And it shows you everything that has been listed. And look at that. That's our beautiful water fountain that we just cross-listed together. Beautiful, amazing. But this is everything else that we have cross-listed thus far. Now, there is only an inventory item number of 1. So, what we need to happen is that every time an item is sold, whether it be on Mercari, Poshmark, or eBay, we then have to cross-reference across each of the 3 platforms to make sure that the quantity of that item is still correct on each platform. So, for example, say an item sells on Mercari that we have cross-listed on both Poshmark and eBay as well. Say there was only 1 of this item. Unfortunately, just because we've sold that item on Mercari, it is still listed active and live on eBay and Poshmark. Now, what we really don't want to happen is for us to sell that item we only have 1 of on Mercari and it still be listed on Poshmark and eBay, and someone else tries to purchase it from another platform, and we no longer have it to sell from them. That can get us in some trouble if we have to cancel a sale such as that. So what we have to do is once we sell an item from any platform, we then have to go in to the other two platforms and make sure that if it is no longer available, it is no longer listed. And if it sells from Poshmark or Mercari, most importantly, we have to go back to eBay and find the listing of that item on eBay and update the quantity to what is now actually the real remaining quantity. So I'm going to give you an example. Say we are to sell this water fountain that we just listed. Now we only have one of this particular exact item. Say we sell this on Mercari. It is now still available on Poshmark and eBay. So as soon as we see that this item has been sold on Mercari, we would have to go to eBay. What we would actually do, our listing website for eBay is InkFrog. So you would go to openinkfrog.com, which we will also give you the login information for that as well. But it's going to take you to this home page once you log in. So in order to manage listings, you're going to go to Library right here. And you can only unfortunately type in one keyword on InkFrog to find an item, which is annoying in itself, but that's okay. So this is a water fountain. So we're just going to type in fountain. And it takes its sweet time also to load most of the time. Ta-da, all of our fountains come up. So again, say we sold this item that we only have one of. We are now on inkfrog.com where we manage our listings. We've typed in fountain, and here is the item that we, quote, sold on Mercari. You would click on this item, and you would click End Early. You never want to delete the actual listing, just in case we were to obtain more of this item at a later date, then we would already have the previous listing we had made and just be able to relaunch it as opposed to having to create an entire new listing. So you would click on the item and click In Early. That way, it is no longer available on eBay for purchase. Now that you've done that, you would have to also go over to Poshmark, which took me to create listing for some reason. That's not what we want. And you'd, of course, be logged in, and you'd come over here to the top right, go to My Closet, and you have all the items that have been listed on Poshmark as well. So here is this item that we theoretically sold on Mercari. Yet again, you would click this item. And again, just to reiterate, it is no longer available. We no longer have it in stock. It has been sold on Mercari. So we have to delete this listing. So you would go to Edit Listing, scroll down to the bottom, and click Delete Listing. Unfortunately, we cannot just end it early or cancel it or put it on pause or anything like that. On Poshmark, we do have to entirely delete it, which is unfortunate, but that's also okay. So now that that's done, we know for sure that nothing will accidentally be sold if we do not have it on other platforms. I hope that makes sense for you. Now, the other thing that could happen is that an item can sell, and say we only have 10 of this item. We don't want to lose track of how much of this inventory we actually have. So, say we actually have 10 of these water fountains. But again, the quantity is only one here. Say we sell it on Mercari. We're just going to keep that as our example. Say we've sold 1 out of 10 of these water fountains. Now, the only place we can update the quantity for is our eBay, which is through InkFrog. So you'd come here, and again, you'd go back to Library. You type in fountain or whatever keyword you'd want to use. You would click on the item, which will automatically take you to edit the listing itself. And you're going to want to scroll all the way down, past the pictures, past this area, and eventually you're going to scroll down and find the pricing and custom label little box of information, and that's where you're going to find the quantity. Now pretend again like we had 10 of these, which we do not, but just for the example purposes, say we had 10, we've sold one now on Mercari. All you have to do is scroll down to this quantity field and update that to 9. You would click save and click save and revise listing, and that will update it for you. But of course we only have one, so we're not going to actually change that today. And just to cover it for you, in case this does happen, say we sell the same, say we've sold it on Poshmark. So now we have to go and delete it off Mercari. I'm going to show you how to do that for future purposes. So if we need to update what's available still on Mercari, you would click on, again, you would come to this little icon in the top right, and you would click My Listings. And it would take you to that page we were just on. And you would click the item. Sometimes you'll have to scroll and find it, which is also unfortunate. And then you would just scroll, where is it? You're going to click Edit Item right in front of my face. This one, however, gives you the option to deactivate the listing. So on Mercari, never delete it in case, again, in the instance that we receive more of this particular item, we won't have to go back in and redo the entire listing. We can't do that with Poshmark, but we can on Mercari, so just click deactivate. I'm not going to actually click deactivate because we still have this item in stock, but that is how that is done. And that's all that there is to it. 30 minutes later, and I hope this was understandable and easy to follow for you. So that is how we here at Platinum Wholesale go about cross-listing our inventory to Mercari and Poshmark and keep up with the correct quantity of our inventory on 3 platforms at once. And it can sound like a lot, but it's actually pretty straightforward once you get the hang of it. So thank you for watching. Have a great day, and we can't wait to work with you.